Keir Starmer's promised to tear down the obstacles to opportunity faced by working-class families, starting with education. The Labour leader said the social progress he'd benefited from had stalled and rolled backwards in recent years, and a different focus in the classroom could help to turn that round.
But now, as the future rushes towards us, we also need a greater emphasis on creativity, on resilience, on emotional intelligence, and the ability to adapt. All of the attributes, to put it starkly, that make us human, that distinguish us from learning machines.
While Rishi Sunak is pushing for maths to be taught until pupils leave school, Keir Starmer says pupils need oracy, training in verbal skills to help them into better jobs.
So too will I introduce a curriculum fit for the digital age. So too will I fight for vocational training to be respected as much as university education. So too will I drag our education system into the future and shatter the class ceiling.
Labour's also announced a £2,400 retention bonus for teachers who stay on after 2 years. Head teacher Caroline Roberts says schools need a bigger injection of cash to ease the pressures that drive teachers out.
But I am glad that at least somebody is talking about recruitment and trying to solve recruitment. The system becomes more and more compressed and more stressed. That's what the issue with school funding is, and I am glad that young teachers will get £2,400, but that won't solve my enormous budget deficit next year.
2 students interrupted Keir Starmer's speech to object to Labour's watering down of the pledge to spend £28 billion a year on green energy.
Stop making U-turns here.
We have already... Will you just let me finish this and I'll come and talk to you about it? Thank you very much.
The party says it'll now reach £28 billion after several years in government. Another pledge that's victim of the sharp rise in the cost of government debt, narrowing the options on what were already tough choices for an incoming government. Earlier, while he was visiting Kent, I caught up with Keir Starmer and I started by asking him about the policy gap that appeared to have opened up between him and Rishi Sunak on what's taught in our schools.
There is a gap because we've got a real ambition about education standards, about schools, and about breaking that link, pernicious link, for children and young people between where they start in life and where they get to.
There's too much testing, too much teaching by rote?
Well, I've set out something which will have high standards,
yes, but
a robust standard.
But it actually says in here there's too much teaching by rote. This is the document you produced. I mean, yeah, you are happy to say that.
But I want to get away from this idea that how you speak, your confidence in speaking, doesn't matter, because it's a huge
teaching by rote, too much teaching to the test, that's in the document. You think there's been too much of it and we need to move in another direction?
We need to review the curriculum, yes. But,
it's in the document. You seem reluctant to say it.
No, we need to review the curriculum.
But I think parents.
No. I mean, look, we want high standards, good standards. We want to empower Ofsted even more. But I can't emphasise enough that we've got to take the measures that are actually going to break this link for too many children between where they start in life and where they get to.
Put to one side the current teachers' pay dispute. Would you, as Prime Minister, honour pay review bodies' awards? They're decided, amongst other factors, on trying to retain a workforce, and you say you're very interested in teacher retention. You think it's a very important issue. Will you honour independent pay review body awards that happen if you're Prime Minister?
Well, look, I think we need to take each situation as it arises.
That's a no, isn't it?
We're not in government yet.
No, but you could have said yes.
What I would do is sit around the table with the relevant unions and resolve the issue. And I think the problem at the moment is that the government isn't even in the room. I wouldn't tolerate that under a Labour government. You've got to be in the room, resolve this issue.
Presumably the reason you're wary of saying I'd sign up to any pay review body is because money's incredibly tight.
Well, you wouldn't expect me in opposition to say what we might do in 2 or 3 or 4 years'
It's an accepted mechanism.
time.
You might have said it's something that should be honoured and the government should be honouring it, but you didn't. And that's because money's tight, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get people singing things can only get better at the next general election. You're going to be the song for you is things can only get slightly better, if that, maybe over a long time.
No, the message from me is we've got to fix the mess that this country is in because of this government. We've got a broken economy, we've got broken public services, and we're going to inherit a country that feels like it's on its knees, if not on its face.
The amount of tax revenue that you are raising on non-DOMs, on private school fees is not the amount of money that could mend what you call broken Britain. I mean, it's barely going to paint the windowsills of broken Britain.
Well, it's a significant amount of money, and we've set out what we will use it for.
You're not going to pretend it's going to mend broken Britain. You haven't got the money to do that.
We've got to grow the economy. We've got to raise living standards across the whole of the United Kingdom. That's why Mission 1 was about economic growth, about making sure that we've got the highest growth, sustained growth in the G7.
Well, how you,
and these two missions
I can't find anybody
together,
who thinks you're going to get that.
Well, we've set out a clear plan to deliver it. We've set out how we're going to partner with businesses.
People have looked at that, independent economists, and they just struggle to believe that Britain's going to somehow return to the sort of growth it enjoyed at the beginning of globalisation.
In all the discussions I'm having with business and with the sector, they want this way of working. They know that there's a huge amount of investment that could come into our country. The reason it's not coming in at the moment is because we've had so much chopping and changing.
There were fairly amicable dissenters behind you down there, but the sense we get, and apparently Labour students, but the sense we get of the way you deal with dissent as we approach the election and this candidate selection, there's one person who's talked about tactical voting, who's being investigated with a view to possible expulsion. Are you a bit of an authoritarian? Are we glimpsing what you'd be like in power? You don't like any dissent.
What you're glimpsing is a leader of the Labour Party who is utterly focused on taking us from opposition into power. Is utterly focused on picking the Labour Party up from the worst election result since 1935 and taking us into power. The central driving purpose is to ensure we have a Labour government so we can improve the lives of millions of people across this country. I don't apologise for that.
You'll do anything to get there. You will be ruthless.
Well, we
authoritarian,
absolutely. I don't accept those descriptions. I describe myself as absolutely focused on that mission, which is to have a Labour government.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.